Welcome to Shooting Straight with Brad and Casey. I'm Brad Carlon, your Navajo County Attorney, and unfortunately, Sheriff Casey Clark couldn't be with us today. In his place, Detective Sergeant David Clouse. And our guest this month is the Director of the Public Safety Education Program for Northland Pioneer College, John Wisner. John, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's a mouthful for a title.
It is. It kind of takes up a little space on the card, yeah.
In simple terms, what exactly do you do for NPC?
I run the police academy as well as the fire science classes. So we coordinate all that out of the Northeast Arizona Training Center located on Paper Mill Road in Taylor.
So you talk about a police academy. What exactly is a police academy?
The police academies are regional academies throughout the state of Arizona. They run, currently they run anywhere from 18 weeks to 20 weeks. The state Arizona Post sets the standards for the training here in the state.
What is Arizona Post?
Arizona Post is the governing board that's through the state that establishes the standards for training and the certifications that officers have to be certified to work in the state of Arizona.
So Post kind of sets up your class schedule in essence for your academies?
They have a minimum core, so to speak, of a core course of 585 hours of mandatory training. For instance, it may require 10 hours of constitutional law. It may require 20 hours of first aid, and those kind of standards have to be met. Currently, the core amount of hours of a police academy is at 585 set by the state, and our academy class right now is set to probably complete with 742 hours, so we're well above the minimum standard.
So what type of things do you add for your academy that's not required by Arizona Post?
Well, our academy, we have a group of all the agencies, local agencies from Navajo and Apache counties that come together and work together with us, providing instructors for those various classes as well as additional resources. But so if Navajo County indicates to us that, and a group of those people come to us and say, we're not giving enough effort or emphasis on defensive tactics, then we might add some hours for defensive tactics. If we need to pay more attention to report writing. And so there's a variety of courses that we exceed the minimum requirement. Physical fitness, you might find it very interesting, but the state only requires that through the academy they only attend 20 hours of physical fitness, which is really bare bones. And as we explained to recruits that come to the academy, we're not going to get you in shape. You have to be in shape before you get there. But for instance, firearms is 50 hours, where we exceed that by 30 because we've added a 3-day rifle course at the request of the agencies up here. So it depends. Another example would be the fact that we've added, this year we're going to add lessons from the Holocaust, and that's a 4-hour block of instruction that we haven't instructed before, so we added that this year.
And that's kind of an ethics training for the recruits.
It is. It exceeds the requirement for ethics training is, I believe, 8 hours, and so we're going to exceed that by an additional 4 hours.
So how many weeks does it take for somebody to get through your law enforcement academy?
This academy that just started in August, our class started August 6th. It will end on December 14th, and that will be a complete weekly is 19 weeks, but we have three state and national holidays in that period of time, so it's just shy of 19 weeks currently.
So what are some of the requirements a recruit or a deputy or an officer will have to complete to graduate on that date?
Well, they to get into the academy, they have to be a minimum of 21 years old. They have to be sponsored by an agency. So, for instance, Navajo County is sponsoring 6 recruits in this academy. Apache County's sponsoring 4. Those agencies do the backgrounds, so they have to go through the standard process of getting accepted by an agency. That means they have to pass their polygraph, they have to pass their backgrounds, they have to pass a physical fitness, I should say medical physical fitness exam, as well as psychological, and then the written exams that the agencies submit and provide to them. Once they're selected and through the background process for those agencies, then they come to us, and then we put them through the entire course. And so they have to pass each of the written tests at a 70% level. They are also they have to pass the physical fitness course that the state requires, POPAT, which is a combination of an agility course as well as some strenuous physical fitness activities such as running, push-ups, and sit-ups. They have to pass the firearms training. They have to pass driving as well as defensive tactics, and once they get through all of those, then at the end of the academy they have to take the state certification test, which is not administered by us. It's administered by post representatives that come up from Phoenix, and they administer the class, that test. And that test is approximately a 6-hour test. It can go on for 8, but it's a all-inclusive test that tests everything from the beginning of the academy to the end of the academy, and all of the various topics that are taught in that academy. Then they pass that. In addition to the written test, then they have to also pass the scenario-based testing that we have, and there's usually 5 to 7 scenarios that each recruit has to perform adequately, and we have a variety of mentors that administer that.
So is the scenario test on paper, or is that?
No, it's actually they put themselves in a scenario-based type of training.
Can you give us an example about one they may face?
They vary from as simple as a traffic stop and making contact with a motorist, to a possible burglary in progress, to potentially a domestic violence. So it's a variety. They're not standard. Every year it's going to be a little bit different than what the year before was.
So who teaches the recruits? Do you have a staff that teaches them, or how does that work?
Actually, our academy is ran by our partners. I coordinate it, but currently we have the class supervisor is Lieutenant Garver from Navajo County, as well as the RTO, or the recruit training officer, is Alan Rogers from Sholo PD. Every academy are partners, and that ranges from all the city and counties up here in the White Mountain area, provide us with the class supervisors as well as the RTOs, but additionally they provide us with the various instructors. The law classes are usually taught by yourself and many of the county attorneys that you have working for you, as well as, for instance, yesterday people driving through Snowflake may have seen the class. They were working on their report writing scenarios, and Lieutenant Griffith, right, from Navajo County had them over at a local hotel in Snowflake, and they were basically going to write a report that was based on a death investigation. And so the various agencies provide us with expert and outstanding instructors for each category.
Do you teach in the classes, David?
Yeah, I've spent some time down there. Like you've supervised some of these classes, or some of the academies in the past.
Yeah.
Some of the classes that I've been part of was criminal law.
Mhm.
I think that's a big course of study that the recruits have to go through. Can you tell us a little more about that one?
Yeah, the substantive criminal law is what how it's deemed by Arizona Post, and that's basically Title 13. All of us know it as Title 13 and Title 4, and they have to. We have to get the basic foundation for their knowledge of what laws they're going to enforce, and so that they understand what the elements of the crimes are and how to enforce those elements of that crime. And it's a lengthy process.
It's kind of a dry course, reading state statutes, but as instructors we try to give scenarios or give examples of
Mhm.
crimes and cases that we've been involved in personally, and investigated and shown kind of how we meet those elements of those crimes.
Correct. Yeah.
So it sounds like the Academy has a lot of study and coursework and book work, as well as proficiency work, as firearms, driving, report writing, different things like that. What are some of the areas that you, because you'll have an academy that starts with, say, 20 students or 20 recruits. Do you always graduate those 20, or do you have some areas that?
No, actually, the current class is 17, and that's one of the larger classes we've ever had here at, we refer to it as NALETA, the Northeast Arizona Law Enforcement Training Academy. It starts with 17. We hope that all 17 make it through the academy, because every one of the communities up here need those officers out in the streets to fill vacancies that they have. So it's not our intent to make the academy so difficult that they can't pass, but we have a standard that we have to uphold. And so when people come in, understandably, a lot of people don't have. They have an idea what the academy is going to be like, but until they're a part of the academy, they really can't wrap their head around it. Sometimes the academics is more than what they can handle. Sometimes the physical fitness aspect of the academy is too difficult for them, and actually sometimes the stress of the stress that we put people under to make sure that they can make it through and work out in their communities and be able to absorb the problems that they have to deal with on a daily basis. It is a very stressful situation, so we make sure that people understand that and make it through.
So how do you raise their stress so you can determine if this is a career choice that's truly for them?
It's difficult. They, unlike most college classes and even the fire science classes that we also teach there at the training center, we do a little bit more yelling than other places. We do quite a bit more physical fitness, although they're not necessarily doing a physical fitness workout where they're going out and running as a group and doing calisthenics and things like that. They may drop down and have to do calisthenics because they weren't quick enough in their response to staff that came in the room. They didn't follow rules and procedures that the academies got in place, and so specifically the first day is very stressful. They do calisthenics and a variety of different physical activities that by the end of the day they're pretty stressed out.
So it's not like a military boot camp trying to break you down, but it's trying to put you under a stressful situation just to see how you can react and deal with it?
It's similar to a military boot camp, but not to that extreme. And I mean, some of the people in this class might disagree with that, but it does. You want to be able to make sure that they have the mental and physical capacity to do the job that officers out on the street do.
You're a retired DPS officer, so you went through academy at one point in your career yourself. How did the academy you go to compare to the one you're now administering?
Well, academies have continued to, I guess, evolve with the culture changes that we have going on in today's world, and so there's a point where they're a little bit softer and gentler, to say the least. But
every generation afterwards says that, don't
they do say that, and so there's some tradition aspect of it, but there's also, as I said, you have to make sure that those people that are going through can deal with somebody screaming and spitting in their face on a domestic violence case, or maybe a group of people that are, trying to riot. You have to build up their character so that they don't take it personal. They know that they're there to do a job, and so that is one of the biggest reasons why we add those stressors to it. The academic aspect of it, again, is very important, and unfortunately, that's commonly how we lose more people academically. The state does not allow you to fail a test. If you fail a test, you have one opportunity to retake that test, and you have to pass each one of those tests through the academy at a 70% or better. And then at the state certification test, they have to pass that at a 70% or better also.
You also said you have a fire science side of the program that you run. What do you do on the fire science side?
Well, the fire science, the training center was developed out there with the help of Abitibi, the
old paper mill.
The old paper mill. They donated the location to the communities to develop a regional fire academy. So that's actually how the academy, the training center out there got developed, the Jake Flake Training Center. The college took it over because it needed it started as a group of agencies, but to run it effectively, the college needed to step in and take over, and everybody agreed to that. So the governing board currently has an executive board of 3 members from Northland Pioneer College, as well as representatives from the fire and police agencies in the area. Our fire program is very extensive. We have the high school program through NAVIT.
What is NAVIT?
NAVIT is a vocational educational program through the high schools up here. And
so all the high schools in Navajo County can participate, or students who are interested?
Quite a few. I'm not quite sure how the northern
You're talking about
communities.
the reservations?
Well, Holbrook, Winslow, I believe they have NAVIT programs, but currently they're not busing anybody because it's a long process. But we do have kids coming over from the Round Valley St. John's area that come to our NAVIT program for fire science, and it's a great opportunity for them because they can attend the NAVIT program through their high school, get college core credits for that, and by the time they graduate from high school, they are certified in wildland, they're certified in Fire 1 and Fire 2, and they can work toward starting their career very early in the fire sciences out there, whether it be with the local agencies or state or federal.
What are some of the occupations or jobs that these high school students would be working towards? You mentioned like wildland fires and stuff.
Correct. Quite a few of them. I know of several that get on local hotshot crews, as well as some of them have immediately gone right into positions within some of the local agencies up here, whether it be Pine Top Fire, Snowflake, Taylor Fire, Timber Mesa. They bring in quite a few of the people from our program. And in addition to the NAVIT program that is currently, we're running a morning NAVIT program as well as an afternoon, which is the first time we've ever done that.
Two separate programs?
Two separate
Or
programs.
two separate groups. Okay.
So it's a 3-hour course for those high school students to attend. And so we're running a morning one now and an afternoon because the interest in the program's gotten so large. We try to cap it at around 16 students, and currently we're running 12 or 13 in the morning and 11 in the afternoon. Additionally to that, we run an evening courses on Tuesdays and Thursdays, as well as multiple Saturdays throughout the semester, and we do the same Fire 1, Fire 2 class for those adult students that need to, that have jobs and need to come in, and those classes run from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night.
And for those adult ones, are they sponsored by a fire department?
Not
Or can
not
just somebody
necessarily,
sign
but
up?
quite a few of them are. Yeah, not necessarily.
So then anybody who's interested in maybe becoming a firefighter, a
Correct.
wildland fire, can just register through MPC for
Correct.
those?
And then they get the college course credits as well as at the end of that, again, it's, you have to pass the test to keep progressing through the process, but at the end of that, we don't administer the state test. The state organization, which is the Arizona Center for Fire Science Excellence out of Phoenix, actually Glendale, come up and they administer those tests. And then they become a Fire 1, Fire 2 certification, as well as hazmat awareness and hazmat operator certification.
So for the NAVIT students, are they just seniors or juniors and seniors?
Juniors and seniors.
2-year program then?
Actually, it's a 1-year program, and the program starts for the NAVIT program. It starts in August, and then it runs all the way through May, and so it's a year-long commitment from those students. Unlike some of the other NAVIT programs that might only be a semester program. Additionally to those two, the basic Fire 1, Fire 2 classes, we offer a variety of fire science classes so that firemen out there firefighters, I apologize, can work toward getting their associate degree and then move on to potentially bachelor degrees.
So is there any medical training? Because I know a lot of firemen and firefighters also are paramedics or EMS, or is it mainly just fire?
Through the fire program, for the fire science program actually is geared strictly toward fire training classes. NPC does run an EMT program, but it's not through us.
It's separate.
Yeah, it's through NPC, but a separate division.
So interested applicants, they don't need a sponsor to do the fire program.
Correct.
But on the law enforcement side or the police side, like the academy you're running, they have to have a sponsor to.
They do. Yeah. Our academy is a closed academy. You can't just pay your dues and attend. You have to be sponsored by an agency. We don't have. It doesn't have to be a local agency. We've got interest from various agencies throughout the state that want to potentially send their recruits to us. But to further your career or start your career in law enforcement, you have to first of all get sponsored by and test with an agency. And most of the agencies up here are always testing because most of the agencies up here are always in need of new officers.
So basically, if you're interested in becoming a law enforcement officer, reach out to the local HR department of an agency and
Correct.
apply. And if it's on the fire science side, high school students can talk to their counselors, or adults, how would they register for the classes?
The adult program, all they have to do is go on to npc.edu and look for the various classes that are being offered. The NAVIT programs, each one of the high schools up here have counselors that are tied in right into the NAVIT program, and they can certainly help them get all the information that they need to start the program.
Well, John, thank you for joining us.
You
Our
bet.
time has run out.
You
We
bet.
appreciate your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us again this month for Shooting Straight with Brad and Casey. And please stay tuned for this month's Most Wanted.
The Navajo County Sheriff's Office is currently seeking the location of Robert Allen Manley. Detectives with the Navajo County Sheriff's Office are needing to interview Robert in connection to an ongoing investigation. Robert has not been able to be located in the Show Low or Snowflake area. If anybody has any information about the location of Robert Allen Manley, we encourage you to contact the Navajo County Sheriff's Office at 928-524-4050 or WeTip at 1-800-78-CRIME. A reward may be offered.